The good news is that it seems that for a lot of people, the rent isn't the biggest factor. But the truth is that for a lot of people, rent is a big factor. Whilst at the moment, most people are experiencing a rise in things like utility bills, cost of wages are going up, general inflation, rates. You try talking to a council about getting your business rates down. Try talking to the government about lobbying for utility bills to come down. Try talking to your various other large suppliers. It's quite difficult. But a landlord is someone historically that you were supposed to have a relationship with. So we're going to do a bit of presentation because we have been working for the last 15 years helping businesses to deal with their rents. So my first question for you guys is, presumably some of you guys own gyms and you rent your gyms. So my question is, if you've got a lease, can you negotiate your lease in the middle of the term? So let's say you've signed a 10-year lease and you're 3 years in. Can you negotiate that lease in the middle? What do you guys think? Pardon? No, if there was no agreement, just 10 years, you've got to pay the rent. That's it. There's no agreement. Can you negotiate in the middle of your lease? What'd you say? You can definitely try. Okay. What do you guys say? Your contract says you can't. You're quite correct. So that is basically the truth. If you signed up to a 10-year lease and in 2 years in something changes, i.e. there's a pandemic or costs go up, legally you can't change your contract. But for the last 15 years, that's exactly what we've been doing. We negotiate in the middle of a lease when affordability changes. So who the hell are we? Very good question. In fact, just a quick joke. In a care home, there was Donald Trump walked into the care home, and he went up to and he goes up to an old lady. He says, "Do you know who I am?" And the old lady had no idea. She goes, "I've got no idea who you are." And and Trump says, "Come on, you must know who I am. Look at me. You know who I am." He says, "No, I've got no idea who you are." She goes, "But if you go to the nurse, she'll tell you who you are." You get it? Okay, fine. We are Cedar Dean. We basically negotiate leases in the middle depending on rent affordability. Whilst other property people are dealing with lease events like lease expiries or new leases, which we do that as well, we specialize in mid-lease rent negotiations. So when something changes, when times get a bit more challenging, that's what we're doing. Health and fitness. 60% of our clients over the last 9 months have been from your industry. Because your industry, unfortunately, has been hit quite badly since kind of 2021 when things started coming back. It seems that your industry has been hit more than most. And, you know, is that something that you guys have seen? Are the gyms being affected more? I think that's what we're hearing all over the place, that gyms are being impacted. And if we actually look over here at some of the stats that you've probably seen, but it's just, this is some crystallized statistics, that these are some of 630 gyms have closed. You know, memberships have dropped by 4.3% since 2019. And just generally, you know, people's behaviors have changed to a certain extent, making it more challenging for your sector. And the margin is being squeezed. So what is the problem with the industry at the moment, the real estate industry? These are the big issues, and hopefully you'll be a bit informed. You can pass this on to your colleagues, to your friends, to other people in the industry, you know, gyms and other businesses. But the biggest problem that we have right now in the real estate business is that tenants, and we only represent tenants, they're being treated as sort of disrespected lease owners instead of a customer. So does anyone relate to that issue? Does anyone here feel like your landlord is treating you as a kind of like a commodity rather than a customer? Has anyone experienced that a little bit? A bit of a shake over here. You guys, you rent or you own your own buildings? You rent. And do you find that your landlord is kind of, do you feel that you've got a good relationship with them, or is it quite kind of standoffish? Yeah. Yep.
And the other landlord, because he owns the flats above us,
yeah,
we have to deal with him a lot.
Parking.
Mostly his shoddy plumbing work, and it leaks through to our.
Oh God. Okay. Right.
But yeah, it's whenever it's a case of doing anything for our benefit as his customer, as you say, it becomes like pulling teeth.
Yeah. So this is the biggest issue, that tenants are not being treated as customers in, I think it's interesting, probably at least 50% of the time, they're not being treated like customers. That's the biggest issues. The other issue is we've got this thing called the upward only rent review. So with a gym, your capex is pretty high, several £100,000, right? To fit out a gym, if you've put a few £100,000 in, you're not just walking away. So normally, I would imagine you want a longer lease. This is not like a shop on the high street that you're just going to walk away from. So am I right in saying that most of you have got leases that are 10 years or longer because you want to be able to secure your property? You don't want to leave after 3 years or 5 years because you've invested in that building, right? The problem with the upward only rent reviews is that if all the rents in the area go down, we're one of the only countries in the world that's left with this archaic issue of upward only rent reviews. And I actually chair something called the Commercial Tenants Association Policy Committee, where we're trying to get government to remove this issue. And this brings me on to a really interesting but painful fact in your industry. Rents, the highest rents in the country will be like retail on Bond Street. But things like gyms could never afford those sorts of crazy rents. So typically, historically, rents in the gym sector were historically anything from £7, £6 a square foot to £15 a square foot. Now, because of where locations of the gyms are, there's a lot of competition that's come in from Amazon warehousing, last mile delivery, and rents have started shooting up higher and higher. Now, in April 2023, the new rates list is coming out. The actual list just came out, I believe, this week. So you'll be able to see your rates changing. And those rates are based on the new rent. And a lot of gyms, I believe, will be further impacted by potential increases in their rates payable as of April, which obviously is like sort of another hit. And if you want to get that change, it'll take you 18 months with a rating appeal to get your money back, which is no good if you're running out of cash, because as we all know, the old line, you can make losses forever, but you only run out of cash once. So cash flow is king, right? So having this rates issue is a big issue, but there's no one to talk to because the government have got their fingers in the ear about this issue. And even if you appeal, it's going to take you 2 years to get your money back. So the only person to really talk to is your landlord, and that's what we're doing. Outside the leases, very, very sad situation where leases come to an expiry. They're outside the act, which means the landlord can just take them back without any renewal. Last night, I'm dealing with a rollerblading rink up in Colchester. They've been there 32 years. Very, very difficult landlord. Has just kicked them out after 32 years. A thriving business, but they wanted to treble the rent, halve their car park, and that's the end of that business. Really all over the news at the moment, and it's really sad. So outside the act leases are a big problem. The other issue is, let's say you've got, you're setting up a company and you've got all your leases in the same company, but let's say one gym is an absolute smasher does great turnover, great profit, great team, and the other one is a disaster. Like we have this often. We've got one at the moment in Worcester, not far from here, which is an absolute disaster, and they've got 4 others potted around different parts of the country, Liverpool, London, a couple of other places, but Worcester is bringing down the rest of the group. So that's a big issue. Our recommendation, especially for independent gyms, do not be putting your leases in the same company. Your accountants, your CFO or your payroll guys or whoever is advising financials, oh, it's so much of a headache to set up a separate company. It is much better for each lease to be in a separate company, because if something goes wrong, you want to be able to ring fence that gym. Also, in our business, negotiations are a lot easier if you've got each lease in its own separate company. And generally, the problem that we've got, the reason why landlords are becoming so difficult, is they've leveraged up so much on the back of your gym, so much debt, that they almost can't afford to give you a better deal, because basically their mortgages are too high. Those are the issues. So, a little question for you. Is your rent more than 10% of your turnover at the moment? Who wants to share that information? Is it more than 10%? Probably. Because ultimately, and I say I've been doing this over 20 years, and it's different for different industries. Look, if your rent is 10% of your turnover in a gym, your business is probably making money. If it's 15%, you're still probably okay. But one thing I can tell you, when it starts to become above 20%, the business is not going to make money. It's going to be very difficult for it to make money above 20%. So when you're looking at that new gym, or you're looking at your existing gym, it's a really good kind of hard fact for you to look at, is that, am I kidding myself? Is my rent more than 20% of my turnover? If it's 25% or more, something needs to change. Either your rent needs to come down or your revenue needs to go up. And I think it's just a really good, a good thing to look at yourself in the mirror of. Has anyone here got a personal guarantee on their lease? If you do, it's a challenge. If you don't, make sure that you don't, under any circumstances. You've got to really think twice about signing up to a personal guarantee. It's not something you want to be doing. We have helped people get out of those things, but if I'm being honest with you, you don't want to be putting your house or your family or your livelihood on the line for your business. And if you have, then you've got to think, how can I get out of that? And we have done that for people, but it's a bit like lifting some serious weights. You've got to really come up with some innovative solutions to get out of that. Did everybody get a COVID concession from their landlord? Most of your landlords helped you out during COVID? No? That's what we hear all the time. You've got big companies like Boots. We acted for Stonegate Pub Company, where they didn't pay any rent, and they got at least 9 months rent-free during COVID. If you wouldn't have paid any rent during COVID, you would have been subject to this thing called the rent arbitration situation, which expired now in October. If you didn't, basically the government rewarded you for not paying your rent. So if you didn't pay your rent all that time, you went into this arbitration scheme and probably got half of the money you hadn't paid off. But all the independent businesses were so scared of upsetting their landlord or hurting that relationship or being kicked out, despite there being a moratorium in place, which meant you couldn't have been kicked out, most of them paid the rent anyway. So your industry has been absolute saints to landlords, because you paid all your rents on time, in full, maybe a bit late, but mostly, you've been, if you would have not paid, you would have had serious amounts of money off. So, some tips, right? You've got to be able to try and have the conversation with your landlord. So, for example, if your rent's above 20% of your turnover, if you are struggling with some of these costs, you've got to be able to have those conversations if you feel comfortable to have them directly. You need to be saying to them, look, I paid my rent during COVID. I was a good citizen. I behaved myself. That it's kind of like you've got to say, look, but now things are getting tougher. Have you got rental arrears? Have you got a payment plan? If you do, maybe it's time to revisit that and say, actually, with all the other costs I've got, I need to look at something different. And essentially, that's where we come in. Also, sometimes you get to a lease where actually it just doesn't work anymore and you need to get rid of it. Obviously, you can try selling it, but let's say there isn't any takers for it. We specialize in surrendering people's leases, getting them out of difficult businesses that they can't, be in anymore. I mean, these are obvious tips to stay solvent, which we're happy to send this around, but one of the things that my gym does, I know you probably don't think I go to the gym because of my stomach, but one of the things that I'm finding with my independent gym that I go to, just as a little, is that they've now got in their gym 4 clinics, 4 rooms for osteopathy, well-being. They do all this, is it ASIRA testing? Have you heard of ASIRA, where they test your blood and they tell you, what you're allergic to and everything like that? Because I think that unless you've got additional incomes and revenues at the moment in independent gyms, because because the cost of living is so high, unless you're doing, I don't know, I would imagine 350, 400,000 pounds or more from your gym, it's hard to turn a decent profit that you can actually, make money from. I just think that, that's the big challenge, I think, with independent gyms. The margins are being squeezed. And, but these are some tips here. Obviously, there is support available out there. Okay, so just about us, what do we do very quickly? We will renegotiate leases in the middle of your lease. So if you can't afford to pay your rent, you're struggling with cash flow, you need someone to help you, that's what we do. We come up with creative solutions of how to support you to pay less rent, or if you need to surrender your lease, we do that, clearing COVID arrears. We've got a 70% success record. We do a lot of heavy lifting that other people do. We've been doing it for 15 years. And I personally do it because I think it's really important that someone is fighting on behalf of small businesses, because there's been a complete mismatch between the landlord and tenant relationship for decades now. And I think that what we're trying to do is redress that balance. So that is why we've got a quite a high success record, because every single case is different. Every gym is different. And unfortunately we lost someone. We lost one recently in London called Muscle Ball Gym. We came up with an amazing solution of how to help them and save them. But unfortunately, it just didn't stack up, and they've gone. They were a great gym, but they just didn't make it, sadly. We only work on behalf of businesses, tenants. These are some of the people that we're working with at the moment. So I'm not here, and we work, by the way, on a success-only basis. So, we're not sat here taking people's money and offering nothing. We only charge a bill if we actually make you a saving. And often what we do, and how we started working with a lot of these people, is we give pro bono advice. In fact, 20% of all the work we do is pro bono advice. Every week, my team are on the phone to people, and I've got Noelle over here in the audience, say hello, and Gemma, who are with us at Cedar Dean. And a lot of the time, we're just on the phone giving people guidance and advice. If they want to do it themselves, we'll help them to do it themselves. If they want to instruct us to actually go in and have those difficult discussions, then we'll do it. But these are some of the people that we've been working with over the last few months. And then really, it's any questions. You know, hopefully some of this information has been good. It might be good for now or in the future or for your expansion. But has anyone got anything they want to ask? Or I have quite a bespoke view on how to set up company structures. Because if you set up your company structure well from the beginning, you're going to be in a very good position long term. So this is how I would do it if you follow this. I have a holding company at the top, right? And that is where any investors might put their money into. That is almost like a company that might pay any dividends. It's where everything goes into at the top. Coming down from that, I would have 2 to 3 separate companies. One of them, so in that top company, you might have your IP, your branding, your name, your trademarks, anything that's kind of like, that's relevant to your particular brand. Then I would have one company that just has all the trading in it, the turnover, the employees, all the staff contracts, and everything in that one company. And that means that deals with your trading. So what's your gym called? So you'd have NR Cloth Health Holdings, NR Cloth Trading Limited, which would be all the trading. And then let's say you've got a franchise model. If you're doing franchisees, if you're creating franchisees yourself, you might have another company for franchises, which then the franchise business would go. If you're a bit of a celebrity gym and you're going to start doing book clubs like we acted for Ottolenghi, you know, the chef Ottolenghi? So one of the things we did there is we split all the entities off. We created separate companies. We didn't want to have his leases in the same companies as his book show, right? Because you don't want to have everything. Every entity has to stand on its own 2 feet. Having everything together, in my opinion, creates, you know, more challenges later on if you do run into trouble. And no one can predict what's coming next. So you've got to prepare potentially for the worst, in my opinion. So you'd have maybe something for franchisees. And then in the property company, you might have your property company, something Properties Limited. And then, look, I act for one client who's got 70 units. Every single lease is in a separate entity, which is maybe you'd say is overkill. I would say that you should certainly be thinking about having 3, you know, it depends on how big you're looking to go, but I'd certainly say you might want to have 2 to 3 companies like gold, silver, bronze. So put your best lease in your best leases or best ones in one company, and then the average ones in another one. And what that means is that you're kind of just protecting the future of your business. So that's kind of the sort of, does that make sense? That is, yeah, I mean, ultimately, everything is owned by the holding company. But what it means is that the other thing to do is that the holding company would have what's called a charge, a fixed and floating charge on all the companies below. So if any of those had a problem, let's say, for example, you've got one gym that isn't working out, the first thing any restructuring advisor is going to tell you, and I can give it you for free now, the first thing they're going to say to you, do you have a charge from the head company down to the other companies? And if you should do that straight away. So, for example, let's say you've got the holding company and you've now lent 100,000 to the property company to go and fit that unit out. You should say, okay, I'm giving you that money, but with a charge on it. So that if for some reason they're not paying back the holding company, you've then got, and let's say you owe money to, I don't know, HMRC, someone like that, you've got the ability to control that process. So I know it sounds a bit kind of like you're preparing for the worst at the beginning, but I'm just telling you the honest truth from seeing some of the more challenging situations. If you're preparing for that early on, then, but yes, ultimately all of those companies underneath are going to be owned by the headco. And by the way, it makes a big difference when you're taking investment in. I'm dealing with a situation right now where we owe a landlord £1.4 million. It's quite a big business, not a gym business actually. And we can't get investment in the company because of one crappy lease. Right? We can't get it. So the whole round of investment is being compromised because of this issue. If it was in a SPV and it was ring fenced with a charge, we wouldn't have that problem. Anything else? Happy to talk to anyone privately about their issues. I'm going to say we've got Gemma over here and Noel over here. And thank you, Rob, for asking us.
Thank you very much. We're done.